In this video, we are talking about the PMI's ACP certification, that is the Agile Certified Professional Certification in the year 2025. If you are looking to get yourselves the certification this year, what all should you know? And I'll share the agenda so that you have a clear picture of what all we are going to be talking about today in this video. So we'll talk about a quick glance at what this certification is. We'll have all the vital information that you need right up in the first slide itself. Then we'll talk about the eligibility requirement for this certification. We'll talk about what exactly is there on the exam. So we'll cover the exam content outline related stuff here, how you should be preparing for this exam, and how you're going to maintain this certification, because it does require maintenance, as in earning PDUs and reporting those PDUs to PMI once you are done with the certification and have obtained the certification, right? You have passed the exam, you need to maintain the certification. All right, so we'll talk about all of these points in this video today. Let's get started with the introduction of what exactly PMI-ACP is. So here's how the PMI themselves define the ACP certification. They say that this certification demonstrates your agile expertise with the industry's only experience-based ISO accredited exam. So obviously some marketing here, but the good point to note here is that it right off the bat talks about your agile expertise. It doesn't talk about Scrum expertise or lean expertise or XP expertise or project management expertise. It says agile, and agile again is an umbrella term. We'll talk more about it, right? So with this, you will be able to drive excellence through Scrum, Lean, Kanban, and more, all while being truly agile and team centric. So that's what PMI has to say about ACP. Here's some glanceable information to understand what this exam is like. So the length of the exam is 120 questions, out of which 100 are scored and 20 are pre-test questions. Now, if you're thinking, what is this pre-test questions? So these pre-test questions, they do not affect the score. These are used in the examination as an effective and legitimate way to test the validity of future examination questions, basically, right? So all these questions, they are placed randomly throughout the examination, so you're not going to know which one is a pre-test question and which one isn't. But out of these 120 questions, how many should you be able to answer correctly to pass the exam? The answer is
nobody knows.
Okay, so that's a joke I like to crack about PMI exams, but the exam time is 180 minutes, which means you need to solve these 120 questions in 180 minutes. The language that you can take this exam in is just English. So no other languages are supported. The exam fee is $435 if you are a PMI member. If you are not a PMI member, then the exam fee is $495. And obviously, if you are looking up at the PMI.org website from your respective location, it might not show you the exam fee in dollars. It might show you in your own currency as well. So definitely check that, but this is US dollars. Now, if you're not able to pass the exam and you need to retake the exam, then the re-exam fee is $150 if you are a PMI member and $200 if you are not a PMI member. So one thing that I would like to talk about though before we move to the next slide is this exam time of 180 minutes, because there seems to be some confusion around the breaks that you get, right? So what's essentially happening here is that there is a 10-minute break that you are going to get in the exam. And this break is going to appear after you have completed 60 questions. So the total number of questions in the exam is 120. After you're done with 60 questions, you can review those questions and you can take a 10-minute break. Now, once you review your responses to these 60 questions, right, you can start your break. And note that you will not be able to return to the questions from the previous exam section, right? So these 60 questions that you have reviewed and you have gone on a break, you will not be able to review those questions again. So from here on, the questions that you're going to see and the questions that you can review later are 61 to 120. So I hope that clears up any confusion that you might have. One 10-minute break is available to you. That does not count towards this 180 minutes that you get. But once you take the break, you will not be able to return to the previous 60 questions that you have already reviewed. A quick reminder, if you are getting value out of this video, I would appreciate you smash that like button. It helps us stay motivated and create more free content for you. All right, let's talk about the eligibility requirement. So the education background is secondary school diploma or the global equivalent. Professional learning requirement is 28 hours of training in agile practices, frameworks, and methodologies. Now, earlier, PMI used to ask for 21 hours. So 21 hours will still be accepted till 31st of March 2025. And this is talking about the application, right? So if you're filling out the application and that application is approved prior to 31st March 2025, you have 1 year to take up the exam once the application is approved, right? So you can take up the exam from whenever your application is approved, 1 year till then. And if your application is approved prior to 31st March 2025, your 21 hours are accepted essentially, right? So that's what it means. Then let's talk about the professional agile experience that is required, and this is where things might get a bit murkier. But the simplest of all are two requirements that are mentioned here. Number one is 2 years of agile experience in the past 5 years. If you have that, great, you are eligible for the exam. Or the last one, if you are an active PMP certification holder, you are all done, right? You don't need to show any professional agile experience. So these are the two that are, I would say, the simplest. But the other thing is 1 year agile experience and degree from GAC program. So you need to find more about GAC. If you are enrolled in any GAC program, then you need just 1 year of agile experience. And if you have any third party agile certification, right, which is current, it should be earned more than 1 year ago. So it shouldn't be like you passed your CSM. And by the way, this third party agile certification includes certifications like CSM and PSM. So it shouldn't be like you passed your CSM a month ago and you can sort of satisfy this condition. It doesn't work like that. The certification needs to be current and it needs to be earned more than 1 year ago, right? So this is important for you to be able to claim this or satisfy this criteria under professional agile experience. So this is basically the eligibility requirement. As I mentioned, the easiest and the most non-confusing of the lot is that you have 2 years of agile experience in the past 5 years, or you already have a PMP certification. Okay, so that's the eligibility requirement for PMI-ACP. Now let's talk about what's on the exam. And before that, I'd like to talk about what domain is. Domain is basically defined as the high level knowledge area that is essential to practice of agile practitioners. So these are the domains that you will be tested on in the PMI-ACP exam. You've got mindset. You can expect 28% questions on the exam around mindset, 25% on leadership, 19% on product, and 28% on delivery. And what does this entail, right? So when we say delivery, what does it mean? Let's talk more about it, and all of this will be available in the exam content outline as well. So let's start with the first domain, which is mindset, and talks about how agile practitioners should have a deep understanding of the agile mindset and principles and the ability to apply them in practice. By the way, we have covered all these agile mindset principles. In fact, everything that you are going to hear in this video has already been covered on this channel as part of the Agile playlist. So the first link in the description will take you to that Agile playlist and all the concept videos, the principles, everything. It's an entire Agile playlist that you can refer to if you're preparing for your PMI-ACP exam. Thousands of our community members have been able to pass their ACP and PMP certification exams using our free playlist. So definitely check them out. All right, so let's talk about some of the tasks that are part of this domain. So the first one is task one is experiment early, and all of these 7 tasks are part of the mindset domain, by the way. So when it says experiment early, it basically means about creating an environment to innovate, learn, and grow, and all that. Task two is about embracing agile mindset. So this is where you are asked to use agile values and principles. Task three is promote collaborative team environment, which basically means establishing team vision and working agreements and using retrospective findings to improve the team. Task 4 is about building transparency, and this is where you need to ensure that your status, progress, process risks, impediments, learning, everything is accessible to all. There is a feedback loop for the team, right? So that's how you build transparency. Task 5 is foster psychological safety. So this is where you, as the agile project manager, as the agile lead, needs to promote a no blame culture by encouraging objectivity. You need to solicit and provide constructive feedback, and you also need to act on it if you are provided that feedback, right? Task 6 is shorten feedback loops. So this means you need to include the stakeholders from day one. And the next task is embrace change, which is all about embracing process adaptation by responding to changing requirements and changing priorities. So that was all about the first domain, which is mindset. And there are 4 domains that you will be tested on, right? So the second domain is leadership, which basically says that agile practitioners should possess the necessary skills and knowledge to effectively lead within an agile team. So what are the tasks that are involved in this domain? Number one is you should empower team. You should establish an environment of trust. You should motivate your team members. You need to coach and mentor your team members. Second is facilitate problem resolution, which is all about investigating the root cause of problems, ensuring problems are resolved in a timely manner, right? Task 3 is promoting knowledge sharing. So you need to create an environment where you can capture and you can share knowledge. Task 4 is promote agile mindset principles and practices. You need to create awareness around agile values and principles. You need to recognize, reward, and encourage agile behavior. Task 5 is promote shared vision and purpose. You need to define and ensure there is a common understanding of the purpose and vision with all the stakeholders. And task 6 is facilitate conflict management, and this is where you need to promote collaborative approach to solving conflicts. You need to identify root cause and the level of conflicts. So that's second domain of leadership. So third one on this list is product. And by the way, all of these domains are on the exam, right? So you will be tested on what we are discussing here. So under the product domain, agile practitioners should have a deep understanding of agile methodologies, including but not limited to Scrum, Kanban, and Lean. And they should be able to apply them to project management as well as product development. There are 4 tasks within this domain. The first one is refine product backlog, which means you need to clarify any backlog items. You'll have to prioritize the backlog items and stuff like that. Task 2 is manage increments. So this is where you need to ensure that the increment is aligned to the business priorities. You have to define increment goals as well. Visualize work. Are you able to use any work visualization techniques? Can you continuously share information, right? So this is what this task entails. And then there's manage value delivery, which is where you have to define what value will look like. For example, what is the success criteria, right? What are the regulatory and compliance related guidelines that need to be followed, right? So this is what value might look like. You have to ensure that targeted results are achieved. All of that is part of managing value delivery. Let's talk about Domain 4, which is a delivery. So agile practitioners should have the necessary skills and knowledge to effectively manage and deliver projects and products using the agile approaches. Task 1 is seek early feedback. You have to deliver work in small increments so that you get feedback regularly from those increments. Task 2 is manage agile metrics. So you have to determine which metrics are appropriate for the given audience. You'll have to review and analyze metrics. You should use metrics, insights for any decision making. Task 3 is about proactively identifying impediments and risks so that you can manage them. You should be able to monitor and control them. You should be able to use the lessons learned to avoid the recurrence of impediments and risks. Task 4 is about recognizing and eliminating waste. So if you are able to visualize the end-to-end flow of value in the system, you will be able to understand where the waste lies, right? So you have to prioritize waste reduction. Task 5 is perform continuous improvements. So you should obtain metrics and feedback. You should implement the improvement actions. You have to evaluate the effectiveness of process improvements. Task 6 is actively engage customers. So this is where you need to identify and analyze who the customers are, what their needs are. You should encourage collaboration between customer and your team as well. And task 7 is about optimizing flow. We did a video around flow. By the way, all the concepts that we are talking about, we have done videos on all of these, right? So if I were to add links to individual concepts, the description will be full of links. That is why just check out the first link in the description, the entire playlist, and you'll be able to find all these concepts. So one of the concepts is flow, and this is where you have to ensure that the work in progress, the WIP, are limited at all levels. You should be able to shield your team from interruptions. Now let's talk about some of the tools and techniques as well. And all the tools and techniques that you will be tested on in the exam are also something that we have already discussed. As an example, agile analysis and design. So this contains your product roadmap, user stories, backlog, story maps, personas. We have discussed all of these. Agile estimation talks about story points, t-shirt sizing, planning poker. All of these is again something that we have already talked about. Communication. So within communication, you have tools and techniques like information radiator, osmotic communications, two-way communications. We have talked about this in our extreme programming area that we were covering, right? We've talked about active listening, brainstorming. Then when it comes to matrix, you've got lead time, you've got velocity, you've got EVM, work in progress. Then planning, monitoring, and adapting. This is where you have your burn down charts, burn up charts, your daily sync meetings, your iteration and release planning. Then when it comes to process improvements, you've got Kaizen, you've got 5 whys, you've got your retrospective meetings, you've got fishbone diagram. Product quality, this is where testing plays a big role. You have your definition of done, you've got continuous integration. Then there's risk management. So this contains your risk adjusted backlog, risk based spike, architectural spike. Then a value based prioritization. So you can think about things like return on investment, internal rate of return, net present value, minimum viable product, minimal marketable feature, also known as MMF. So all of these are tools and techniques of value based prioritization. Now, how do you prepare for the exam? The first thing that you need to know is that this exam is not a test of Scrum, right? But this does not mean that you should not know Scrum. In fact, you need to know Scrum. And we have a premium Scrum 101 course, a 2-hour long course. I'll share the Udemy link to that course in the description below. In fact, if you are a member of this YouTube channel, if you have our VIP Pass membership, you get access to this premium course as well. So consider joining us by taking that membership. You can use the join button to do so. All right. So this is not a test of Scrum, but you should definitely know Scrum. You can make use of our Agile playlist, which is the first link in the description. You should go over the exam content outline. So whatever that we discussed so far in the previous slides, that was from the exam content outline itself. Agile Practice Guide is one book that you can refer to. Mike Griffiths is again another popular book that a lot of people refer to. There are a lot of PMI courses as well that can help you get the contact hours required for the eligibility of this exam. So those are some of the resources you can use to prepare for PMI-ACP. Now you need to maintain the certification as well. Once you have obtained the certification, you have to keep it valid. So you need to report 30 PDUs every 3 years to PMI to keep your certification active and valid. And out of these 30 PDUs, a minimum of 18 need to come from education, and a maximum of 12 can come from giving back. Now, in education, you have the PMI talent triangle. We have the ways of working, power skills, business acumen. So you need to report at least 4 PDUs under each of these three, right? Maximum you can report whatever that you feel like. You can report all 30 PDUs under education itself, and you can earn those 30 PDUs under these three areas, right? The skill areas of ways of working, power skills, and business acumen. But obviously you also have the option to report a maximum of 12 giving back PDUs as well. And giving back PDUs entail activities like working as a practitioner, creating content, mentoring or teaching others, volunteering. So you can actually report a maximum of 12 PDUs under that, which means a minimum of 18 must come from education, and these 18 are divided into these 18 PDUs are divided into these three skill areas: ways of working, power skills, and business acumen. So this is where these 18 PDUs must be accumulated from. Now, who is this certification for, right? So I would say PMI-ACP certification is something if you are, let's say, working in an organization which just works in Scrum environment, then maybe CSM, PSM, those certifications are going to be helpful for you. If you work in an organization that majorly works in the scaled agile environment, then those safe certifications are going to be a safe bid for you. But if you work in an organization that uses a mix of all these agile ways of working, you see that teams are using lean and Kanban, you see teams are using XP, you see teams are using scaled agile, you see teams are using even your Scrum, right? That's where I would say agile certification like PMI-ACP is going to help you a lot. In fact, if your organization has job titles like agile project manager and not Scrum master or product owner, right? Also, I think that's where PMI-ACP can be very helpful, because this certification basically showcases your knowledge in different ways of agile delivery, not just Scrum. So this is a certification that you can look for if you are working in an organization that uses different methodologies of agile. If you are a team member working in an agile project team and you want to get into agile project management, right? You are eyeing that agile project manager position, then also you can look for this certification. And if you are, let's say, someone in the higher management and you want to introduce different ways of delivery, that's also when you can get yourselves the PMI-ACP certification. One last thing, the renewal fee for this certification is $60 for PMI members and $150 for non-PMI members. This is something that you will have to pay every 3 years to keep your certification active and valid. So that's all that we had in this video. My only call to action would be to subscribe to this channel and share this channel with others. And if you have any questions related to PMI-ACP, drop them in the comments. I'll definitely get back to you. You can see other videos on your screen right now. If you choose to see any other videos and keep learning, I'll catch you guys in a few seconds. Thank you.